Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Thursday, February the 20th, 2025. I wanted to come here today and share this story with you guys. Some sad story that I heard recently, and I was like, I need to share this on my channel, my podcast. But before I continue, I gotta give you a trigger warning. This is a very sad story. It can get, by the details of it, which I'm going to share with you, I'm going to try to share with you, it can get very graphic. So I just want to give you a trigger warning, especially if you are the mother or a family member of little children, of younger children, right? So I just give you that trigger warning, just in case maybe this is not a podcast or a video that you may want to watch at this moment. Also, I do want to say, before I begin, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who has been watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much to everybody who listens using Spotify. Thank you so much for following me there. It really means a lot to me, you guys. So I do appreciate all the support, okay? So I learned about a really sad situation that happened to a family. Um, Last month, I believe it was late January, the mom is taking her child to a doctor's appointment to get some type of treatment. And there was something that happened that this child lost his life inside one of the machines that they have there at the doctor's office. So let me read to you guys this sad story, okay? The mother of a 5-year-old who died inside a hyperbaric chamber last month revealed the final act she made in an attempt to save her son, leaving her with severe burns. Okay, so Annie Cooper, that's the mom's name, rushed to the rescue of her son Thomas after the hyperbaric chamber he was receiving oxygen therapy inside suddenly caught fire on January 31st of this year, 2025. So imagine the shock. Um, you go and bring your child to get get treatment at a doctor at a clinic, right? And he's getting the treatment done inside of this machine, and suddenly you hear there's some type of commotion going on back, you know, in the back, and they call you to the front saying something happened to your child, and right now the machine where we put your child in, your 5-year-old, to get treatment has caught fire. Imagine that scenario. Just imagine that to anybody, right? Imagine knowing that your child is in there. Of course she's going to do everything that she can to try to save the child. It's just so crazy, you guys. And the reason that I'm also sharing this to let you know that this could happen to anybody. There's a lot of negligence that happens, especially in medical. Like I told you before, there's a lot of people right now. I haven't finished reading the whole story, but just to let you know, this is something that I'm always talking about. There's a lot of people right now who's struggling financially that will get one, two, three full-time jobs, right? And when that a person does that, rest assured, you guys, not because of history that I hear about people, it's just our human nature. We're not gonna give 100% to a job, and when you are desperate to get a job, you get trained to do whatever, right? And as long as you can manage it, but at the end of the day, you're not giving 100% to every job. So mistakes and negligence are going to happen. And the issue with this is when it affects somebody else, that's when we have a problem. That's why I always tell you about nursing homes and things like this, even daycares. And now this child lost his life. So was it something happened with the machine? Was it not properly set up? Okay, some type of negligence happened here. So let me tell you, this machine, and I do apologize, I might be mispronouncing the name. And if you are, you probably are familiar with this machine. It's called the hyperbaric chamber. It's a machine that, let me tell you exactly what it's used for. It's used to deliver hyperbaric oxygen therapy, also called HBOT, where a patient breathes pure oxygen inside a pressurized chamber allowing more oxygen to reach the body's tissue and aiding in the healing of the conditions like decompression sickness, carbon monoxide poisoning, severe wounds, burns, and certain infections that don't respond to standard treatment. So this is the reason why this child was brought there to get this type of treatment. And it is so sad, you guys, because what I also read about this is that a family member, knowing the condition that this child had, a family member actually was helping the mom financially to be able to get this type of treatment, which is very expensive. Okay, so imagine this because it's almost like you see the whole family coming together to help the child because that he was born with this condition, right? And he needs this treatment, and everybody's gathering together to help out. And they finally find a place. They finally find, um, the right treatment for him. And then this happened. That's crazy. The devastating loss is just unimaginable. So let me continue to read here. So he was receiving oxygen inside the machine on January 31st, and then the machine caught fire. The family lawyer, James Harrington, said that Annie threw herself towards the blaze and tried to pull her son out. I mean, it's so sad, you guys. The lawyer said she has significant burns on her arm, and that was done during the rescue attempt to try to get her child out of the burning flames. I mean, how horrific is that? Not only you see a mom who's desperate, but that's her 5-year-old in there, and she's basically watching him go through that. And they haven't mentioned it here, but what was Pussy calling out me? I'm trying very hard not to get graphic here, but was the kid calling out for help? Can you imagine? Like, of course, the mom is gonna do everything that she can. It's a very tragic situation. She continued. He said she does have visible burns, but the real problem for her is going to be the emotional trauma. Of course, right? Her heartbroken parents are absolutely devastated after experiencing something no parent should ever have gone through. And they also mentioned, which you guys know that I do support a lot of GoFundMe campaigns, and I love to come here and share with you guys, even though we are not related to a lot of these cases. We're probably far away from that community. But knowing about something like this, somebody going through a difficult time in their life, even if we can share the GoFundMe campaign somehow, or donate if we can, or even just pray for them, it really will help, the family. So I am saying that because I am gonna share the link so we can come together and donate for them. Like I said, even pray or share the link. But they do have a GoFundMe. She described the son, her name is Annie. She described her son as the smartest and cutest kid who liked to zoom. So he was he's a very active child. He was. Annie Cooper rushed and tried to rescue her son after the hyperbaric chamber he was receiving oxygen therapy caught fire on January 31st. Let me see. His family loved him very much. He was a very smart kid, intelligent, and his parents loved how he was. He was perfect in every way. He was the best boy there was. The lawyer said they haven't, well, excuse me, Thomas, that's the child's name, has been taking for multiple sessions of the hyperbaric oxygen therapy for sleep apnea and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder at the Oxford Center location. And they're saying that the fire department arrived minutes after that the 911 call that happened at 8 a.m. that Friday. But by the time the fire department arrived, the boy was already dead. The fire was quickly put out and there was no damage to the rest of the facility. The hyperbaric chamber contains 100% oxygen, which is up to 5 times the amount of oxygen in normal room. The presence of such a high amount of oxygen is pressurized in a pressurized environment can make it extremely combustible. There's going to be multiple jurisdictions and departments throughout the state that are going to be part of this investigation. Definitely. I mean, if I'm trying to think, if he was already receiving this therapy multiple times in the past, what went wrong here? Was the clinic short staff, right? How did this happen? Was the machine service? A lot of these machines, even machines for MRIs and things like that, the manufacturer has recommended times for it to be serviced. So usually in a doctor's office, you might call to make an appointment. They say, "Oh, they're servicing the machine. We're gonna have to push their appointment." Or you see the personnel coming in when you're there, right? So what happened here? How did this happen, right? If you guys are listening to this or watching the video, are you guys had you been inside of one of these machines, or are these machines only made for younger patients? You know, this child, they were saying he was there because of sleep apnea, which I honestly thought that only happens to adults, right? Apparently it doesn't. So it's just a very tragic situation. Somebody, you know, a lot of the times when these machines are even rolled out to a medical office, they go through so much. I mean, it has to be approved by so many agencies before this even presented as a possible option for treatment. So I think something terrible went wrong here, obviously. Yes, at the end of the day, these are all machines. They can lag, they can get fire and things like that. But if they're malfunctioning, a lot of these high-tech machines like this, I mean, this is top of the line machines, right? That's why they're so expensive to get treatment. They usually give warning. They usually have some type of alarm bell or something, right? So something something is amiss, and like they say here, there's gonna be a lot of departments throughout the states is here that are going to be part of the investigation. The chamber increases air pressure, which help the lungs take in more oxygen and distribute it to cell, helping to fight the infection and damage. So, you know, that is the reason why it's so recommended, because it helps the patient so much. It's just so unfortunate that they have to go to this, right? Let me see. It says here, well, they already started to investigate. It says here the center had previously hired a convicted felon at its Brighton, Michigan location in 2018. So that's, when things like this happen, they're gonna go through everything, right? So they're already bringing this information out. Why was a convicted felon hired? And this is what I'm telling you in the beginning, right? We see it, guys. We see how many people are just these days so careless. Even the way the type of you go get service and for whatever, right? It could be so many things, and you see that there is this type of carelessness, right? And hey, if you're bagging or something, or you delivering food and you don't do a good job, if that happens to you, obviously you move on with life. But when it comes to caring for somebody and being responsible for somebody's life, that's where the problem is going to arise. And I think a lot of these organizations that hire people, they need to pay attention very through to whatever detail it is that they're using, machines that they're using. They need to understand, like, when a patient comes in, you're basically holding their lives in your hands. So they need to investigate when it comes to HR. How many jobs do you really have? Can you really do this job, right? Regardless of your experience, are you able to have enough attention during the day to follow through everything that's needed for you in this job, right? Because not only are these people paying so much money to get this treatment, you have somebody's life in your hand, right? So this is something else that they need to start checking, investigating, right? So it says here that, let me just read briefly. It's so sad that this family had to go through this. I'm trying to see briefly what some of the comments are saying of the people here. Let me see real quick. Is somebody said that they've been suffering with sleep apnea since 1985, and he said, "I wonder why this little boy was not using the CPAP machine at home, which is completely safe." I understand also that there's a lot of people who use the CPAP machine for sleep, but it wasn't like what I mentioned earlier. In this case, it wasn't just sleep apnea that they were treating with him. There were other conditions, right? And you need to understand, there's a family member who was paying so much money just to help the family out so that Thomas could get the therapy that he needed, right? And they've been going through that therapy for some time, right? So let me just see what else people are saying. Well, this is the thing. Like when it comes to this thing, unless you really know how this operates, meaning the machine, and you have somebody close to you who probably used it in the past, it's kind of hard to like think, because a lot of the time people are saying here in the show, how come he wasn't given medication instead? Like, I'm sure the family thought of that already. Sometimes people think that people are walking around with blindfolds in their eyes and be like, "Oh yeah, $8,000 for a treatment for therapy, I'll do it." Like, of course they thought about everything else in the past, everything else that was presented to them before, and even though this treatment was expensive, maybe they were convinced this is what the child needed. So that's why we have to be let me see. We need to think before we say something like, how come he was given the machine instead of medications? He was not treated just for sleep apnea. There were other conditions too, right? So people are also saying, like I just said, how come somebody said absolutely terrible, but we need to ask the question, why is this being used to treat ADHD? Which is a psychological disorder. But somebody said these machines are used to treat a number of conditions. So somebody said, what a strange treatment for a 5-year-old. So this is why now that this happened, right? And just thinking about it now, a 5-year-old, I mean, I wonder if this child was like, how was he like, a 5-year-old who's, the mom described him as a zoom, like he goes, he's very fast and things like that. Was he given something to calm him down to sit on that therapy? Like, how does that work? I mean, 5-year-old, to keep them calm, I'm sure, it takes a lot of, especially a hyperactivity diagnosed child, right? What was given to the child to keep him calm during that therapy? And like, was he trying to leave or something, or was he giving something to stay that time for that for that therapy session? There's so many questions, right? But I think the mom and the family came up with the money, and the mom was taking this child to get that treatment because it was definitely recommended by a medical professional who now, is going to have to be, you know, he's going to be investigated, right? Because a lot of people, like I just read now in the chat, they're saying, how come at that age he was given that type of therapy? So that's what the police said. There's going to be a lot of multiple state departments investigating what happened here and what kind of treatment was given to this child and why this machine caught fire. So, like I said, you guys, I'm gonna leave the link for the GoFundMe so you guys can share that. And if you want to help donating, you can do so. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much, everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.